Mauricio reacts to Kyle Richards' photo with their daughters. Kyle Richards has 4 people to lean on in her life, no matter what she's going through. Of course, we're referring to her daughters, Portia Umansky, Alexia Umansky, Sophia Umansky, and Farrah Brittany Aljafree. And the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member recently posted the most stunning look at her life with her girls on Instagram, in which she also opened up about their special bond. The ode to her girls comes as she navigates her ongoing split from their dad, Mauricio Umansky, who, as it turns out, had some feelings about the photo. "So grateful for my incredible daughters," she captioned the sun-drenched photo of herself and her 4 girls looking stunning in floral dresses and headbands. Mauricio didn't miss the chance to compliment his daughters and estranged wife. "So cute," he commented with several heart emojis. "You all look gorgeous." Who Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky are leaning on in their split. While the estranged couple has been making time for their daughters amid their separation, they have also been spending time with their friends. Mauricio recently shared a look at some of the inner circle he's been hanging out with as he looks forward to a busy summer ahead of him. He not only has been hitting the beach with his buddies, but he's also been hard at work with the team he works with at the agency, including Mercedes MJ Javed. Kyle has also been making time for her pals. She recently reunited with Lisa Rinna and Dorrit Kemsley at daughter Alexia's engagement party. Teddi Mellencamp was also in attendance at the bash. She and Kyle have been spending a lot of as Teddi navigates her cancer battle. Inside Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky's recent reunion. Kyle and Mauricio recently came together for Alexia's engagement party in May, which took place at the family's home in Encino. The celebration was so special that weeks later, Mauricio shared a family photo from the event, which included him and Kyle posting together. Is Kyle Richards divorced from Mauricio Umansky? While Kyle and Mauricio have been separated since 2023, the pair has yet to get divorced. Still, both Kyle and Mauricio have shared positive updates on how they've been handling their relationship amid their separation. You can hear more from Kyle about how she and Mauricio are handling being there for their daughters by checking out the video at the top of the post. So cute. A story of family, love, and the space in between. Mauricio Umansky stared at the glowing screen of his phone, the sun casting shadows through the slatted blinds of his Malibu rental. He had just finished his morning run, something he'd made a ritual lately, not just to stay fit, but to quiet the persistent, restless energy that had come with the separation. The ocean breeze rustled the patio curtains, but his eyes remained fixed on the post glowing on Instagram. It was Kyle. She was smiling in the photo, serene and radiant, in a way that felt both familiar and unfamiliar at once. There she was, surrounded by their daughters, Portia, Alexia, Sophia, and Farrah. All of them dressed in coordinating floral dresses, their hair adorned with delicate headbands. A picture of femininity and strength, and of a bond that he had to admit looked unshakable. "So grateful for my incredible daughters," the caption read, "my light in every season." Mauricio felt a warmth settle in his chest, and then a flicker of something else. Not regret exactly, because their split had been inevitable in its own quiet way, but something like longing, nostalgia, a reminder of what had been and what still tethered them together, even if the rope had frayed. He hovered his finger over the heart icon and double-tapped. Then he typed the words that had come instinctively, words he meant. "So cute, you all look gorgeous." He hit send, and just like that, he became one of the thousands reacting to the photo, lost in a sea of likes, emojis, and fire symbols. But to him, it wasn't just a comment. It was a bridge, a small offering of peace, of presence. A reminder that even if they weren't husband and wife anymore in the way the world knew them to be, they were something else, something just as real, family. Before the photo, a week earlier, Mauricio had stood in the corner of the Encino house where he'd once lived full-time, sipping champagne at Alexia's engagement party. The house hadn't changed much, though Kyle had added more soft linens, more crystal, more white orchids. There was always a touch of drama to her design aesthetic, and yet it had always felt like home. Now it felt like a place he was visiting, like a guest. He watched from a distance as Kyle laughed with Farah and Dorrit near the kitchen island, her smile stretching wide at some story Farah was telling. The sound of her laughter tugged at something deep within him. It had always been his favorite sound, and for a moment, he let himself remember. The early mornings when they were first married, tiptoeing through the house so they wouldn't wake the kids, or the way she used to burst out laughing at the most inappropriate times during serious dinner conversations. "You okay?" MG had asked, nudging his shoulder gently. Mauricio nodded. "Yeah, just taking it all in." He had come to support Alexia, of course. That much had never been in question. His daughters were the axis on which his world spun, and no amount of distance from Kyle could ever shift that. But still, there had been unspoken tension in the air, like static. They had smiled for the photos, posed with Alexia between them like old friends at a reunion. There had even been laughter, genuine and warm. But when the crowd dispersed and the cameras disappeared, they had retreated to separate rooms like parallel lines that had once intersected but no longer did. In their eyes. Later that night, Kyle had gone through the gallery of photos from the engagement party. She paused at one, a candid shot taken as she and the girls walked barefoot across the lawn in their dresses, the sun dipping low behind them, halos of light in their hair. She stared at it for a long time. They looked so full of light, so connected, like goddesses in bloom. She felt tears prick the edges of her vision, not out of sadness, but gratitude. Because no matter what storm was circling her personal life, these girls had been her anchor, her mirror, her strength. Posting the photo had been a spontaneous decision, but the caption poured from her fingers as easily as breath. "So grateful for my incredible daughters." And then she saw it. "Mauricio liked your post," Mauricio commented. She read his words once, then again. 3 hearts. So cute, simple, but it spoke volumes. Because it wasn't just admiration, it was acknowledgement. He saw her, them, their shared history, their shared love, not in spite of the split, but through it. She exhaled deeply and smiled. Maybe they were still learning how to be divorced, but they knew how to be parents. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The conversations we don't post. A few days after the post, they met again, this time alone. Just the two of them at a quiet rooftop restaurant in Santa Monica. Not a date, not officially, but something resembling it, if only in its intimacy. Mauricio arrived first, dressed casually in lion pants and a black button-down. Kyle showed up minutes later, hair in soft waves, a pale blue cardigan draped over her shoulders. "I saw your comment," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. He smiled, raising an eyebrow. "Did I overdo it with the emojis?" She laughed. "No, it was nice." A pause. They looked at each other, really looked. There was history in their eyes, but also fatigue. A shared exhaustion from months of speculation, tabloids, whispers behind hands at charity events. Everyone wanted a narrative, a villain, a hero. But there were no heroes in this story, just people, trying. "I miss this," Mauricio said finally. "Talking. Just us." Kyle nodded. "Me too, but I think we're doing okay." "We are," he agreed. I wanted you to know, when I saw that photo, it hit me. How beautiful you all looked, and how proud I am of you, of them, of us." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. "I know." The daughters, Portia had noticed the photo immediately, of course. At 15, she had an uncanny ability to read between the lines of her mom's captions and her dad's emojis. "Are you guys getting back together?" she asked one night, curled beside Kyle on the couch. Kyle chuckled, stroking her daughter's hair. "No, honey, Not like that, but we're trying to stay close, for you girls. Portia was quiet for a moment. Then softly, "It would be okay if you did. I wouldn't be mad." Kyle felt her heart tighten. "I know, baby, but right now, we're just taking care of what matters. Each other, you girls." Upstairs, Alexia texted her fiancé, thumbs flying. "Mom posted that pic." Dad commented, "Think she's finally healing." Farah, ever the oldest and most diplomatic, had called Kyle that afternoon. "It was a beautiful photo, and I think it said a lot more than just what you wrote." And Sophia, the dreamer, had added it to her story with a single caption, "Queen Energy." The summer ahead, Mauricio stood at the edge of the beach a few days later, surfboard tucked under his arm, toes sinking into the sand. MJ and a couple of colleagues from the agency were laughing nearby, but he was lost in thought. There were new things blooming in his life, new projects, new friendships, even potential new love interests, though he wasn't quite ready for that leap yet. Still, Kyle had been on his mind, not romantically necessarily, but profoundly, like a familiar song that catches you off guard in a grocery store. It had defined so much of his life.